Hello and welcome to MS Report, the weekly podcast that isn't a podcast that we haven't updated for a month. I'm Second Soundwave from Channel 2S.
And to quote episode 1 of IBO Season 2, guys, this is Dan the Plastic Man. It's good to be back.
This is Max Duo saying why hello.
Dan, you were in IBO?
I am.
I only wish.
That would probably be a really terrible universe to live in, actually.
Well, we don't know. He could be the Vidar pilot.
Especially considering I'm going to win that kit.
Maybe.
You guys saw that Biscuit Photoshop where the mask came off and it was Biscuit, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Biscuito.
So we've got...
Hey, it makes more sense than Kira surviving.
We've actually got quite a fun show for you guys tonight. We had to do a little bit of going over our notes before this, but let's get some projects out of the way. It has been a month, so all three of us have been pretty busy with projects and kits that we've been building. I know I've put up a couple videos about my Raven project, which I worked on a little bit more today, and tomorrow morning I'll be seeing how my two-tone paint job is coming out, because there's a couple pieces that are going to be both colors, and this was my first ever attempt at masking, so let's hope it goes well.
Isn't this kind of your first painting attempt, period?
Not my first painting attempt, period, because I did do the pseudo TV paint job on the MG Tallgeese 1. Again,
right.
I was inspired exactly by Jabman's version of it, because I took one look at that MG and I was like, white and sky gray. Really? No.
I think really early on when we first started Gunpla, we had both gotten the model of some kind, and if you remember, I had that one BattleTech tank thing where I kind of glued its arms into place. I don't remember if you painted, but mine was halfway painted, and that's when I gave up, so I'm assuming you painted a little bit on yours.
You had a... Oh, man, in MechWarrior it's called the Rifleman, but it's a...
Even then it's a little different from that, but yeah.
It was a Robotech kit, and it was one of the Destroids. Just had cannon arms. I remember it very well. And then, of course, I've probably knocked out 5 high grades since the last MS report. Yep.
I guess at least pretty much everyone's seen what you've got, other than like what you're currently working on.
And the one kit that I have finished that I have yet to even post the unboxing video of.
I don't remember what I was working on last time. I think it's right when I started the Gundam Mark II Titans version, the high-grade Revive. I finished up that one. I started and finished the Guion, which I coated with a really crappy spray, so now it looks constantly dusty forever.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looked a little...
Yeah, I think part of it is I sprayed it in the garage. It was raining outside, and there's just a bunch of dust in there, so maybe some of that just settled on it.
Oh, no.
So I literally tried to wash it, and it won't go away, so oh well.
That's like how on my Real Great Astray, if you look very closely, on one of the shoulder decals, there's actually like a cat hair coiled up underneath it.
Oh.
And I can't get it off because it's like one single flat clear sticker that like goes over the entire top of the shoulder. And it's like just permanently entombed under there.
Yeah. Well, and then one really sad thing was after I finished the Guion, I had it up on an action base, and I really liked the pose it was in and everything. And that was my last 1144th action base, and then I did the real grade Sinanju, which is now I had to steal the base because I didn't really feel like attempting to get any good pose out of it standing on the ground.
You could just have him huddling in the corner in shame.
I think mine's in a pretty good position now, other than I probably shouldn't have put the rifle and 2 beam effects and the shield on it, but it has too many weapons for me to not use, and that's always my biggest problem on that. And then me and Dan actually finished this around the same time. I just finished the Astaroth Origin, probably about the same time he did, like I think a day later, because I had to build like 10% of it at that point.
And I actually got called out on that kit because the
the upside down symbol.
Yeah, somebody called me out on it, and I was looking at the manual when I put the sticker on, and it never registered.
On what?
What's funny is mine was sitting on the desk right next to me, and I didn't even realize it at first until that guy mentioned it. I was like, "Oh, huh? How do you not notice that when he did it?"
The chest, the sticker that goes on the chest, the symbol that is also matched on the shoulder binders on the Origin, mine's upside down.
Yeah,
Oh.
basically it's like an arrow shape, and it's supposed to point towards the face, but his is pointing away from the face.
I think it's the other way around. I've actually got mine over here. No, I don't.
It's supposed to be pointing up because it's kind of like an A shape.
Yeah, it is. It's like an A with a clover in it. So yeah, mine's actually facing forward to match up.
Yours is like a V instead.
Yeah.
The Vitoroff.
Victoroff.
Oh, that would ruin it, though.
So any projects out of you in the past month, Second?
A couple, yeah. First off was one that there's probably going to be a review up for it on my channel by the time this video goes live, but the high-grade Gundam Dynamez. And I think I've mentioned the HCM Pro before. It's this kind of action figure-ish line that Bandai did for a while. I think it was right around the time they did 00. And they were just garbage. Like, they were bad. The joints were really floppy. And they were tiny, tiny little figures. And they just weren't good. And I think, yeah, I did mention these because I mentioned them back in our Origins episode because they were my first 2 Gundam things I ever bought. So finally, of course, I have a Dynamez that works. And it's a dated high grade for sure. But it's so awesome. Like, it really is. I just love this kid. It's terribly posable. And I mean that in the worst way, not the good way. I just realized that could be taken 2 different ways. The posability is terrible. There we go. But he still can actually do most of the poses. Like, I was even able to get him into kind of a splat on his stomach sniper pose just by kind of cheating a little and sort of arching his back up a bit. I was able to counter for the lack of head movement. So that came out pretty well. And I was really impressed with the head because they actually incorporated that kind of drop-down V-fin gimmick from the show without, like, having any swap-out parts, which I was not expecting. That was so cool.
That is really nice considering the Gujin Rebake and the Rebake Full City both have head swaps for that.
Yeah, that'd be so cool if they incorporated that better.
Granted, I guess technically on that one, it just kind of moves down rather than folding back and everything, but...
Yeah. Still, then, I think the least they could have done was, like, not make everything that isn't beige on that a sticker. I mean, that was really bad.
Yeah.
Like, even if it was just, like, a black piece for the face, just something to break up the wad of sticker.
Yeah, that's why on that particular suit and kit, I'm definitely waiting on the 1/100th.
That does remind me, Second, though, like you've mentioned a few times before, like the guy on how you didn't like that its whole face was a sticker. But every time I look at that, at least the fact that it has like shiny green eyes and pink lines and green lines and stuff, at least like when I look at that, it's like, okay, well, this would be really hard to just add on the black plastic. So I guess at least they got that part done.
And then after that, I built the High New Gundam, which was a long time coming because back when I first got into Gunpla, it was actually one of the first models that I saw where I was like, yeah, okay, I had to have this. Unfortunately, it was out of print at the time, and I was not paying $45 for it on Amazon. So I just waited around, and it did eventually come back in print a couple years later. By then, I didn't actually get around to getting it, and then finally, back in August, I think, I picked one up, and it had been sitting around in my room for a while, and I finally snapped it together a week or so ago, and it is the best thing ever. Like, I think this actually does fit into our theme for today's episode. I think this is probably one of, if not the absolute best pre-2010 high grades. Like, this and the new Gundam are just incredible. The color separation is insane. There's like an MG level of stickers on this. It's just cameras and eyes, and then a couple little silver pieces, and that's it. It's so awesome. And the articulation is pretty awesome considering how bulky the kit is. And it's got that awesome shield, and I love that shield. It has, like, the diagonal stripes and stuff, and, like, everything about it, like, the proportions, the detail, the colors. it looks awesome just stock built, but if you paint it, it would look even cooler. And like the color separation, like the secondary V fin that's above the first one is actually cast in silver. I thought I'd have to paint that. And there's just so many little details in this. The shield, the weapons, everything is just insane, and it's so freaking awesome.
I think Bandai just wants to release good versions of the new constantly.
Like, I don't think we will not need a New Gundam or High New Gundam Revive for a very long time. Like, they are really good kits.
I'll guarantee, though, that we'll get one probably within the next 3 years.
No, it doesn't need to happen.
A lot has not needed to happen that has.
Not really. Pretty much every Revive kit they've made has made sense. I mean, every single one of them pretty much needed a Revive. Everything they've done at Master Grade 2.0 needs a 2.0. Remember, they can just reprint more of a kit if they want to sell more. They only have to make a newer version if the old one is exceptionally crappy. Like, they can just, it's not like they're like, oh, well, we need to make more money. Well, a new Gundam would be easy money. They don't have to make a new Gundam to sell more new Gundams. They can just reprint the new Gundam, the old new Gundam, you know?
Which Bandai, like I said, Bandai seems to only ever want to release good versions of the new Gundam. I don't think I've ever heard any type of new Gundam as being awful.
No,
like
there isn't.
Like, you hear complaints, but nothing like this one's garbage. Nothing has a real grade Sananju reception. No.
I mean, the no grade has an opening cockpit. Let that sink in.
The 1/100th, not the 44th.
Yeah, but yeah, the 1/100th. It has an opening cockpit in die-cast metal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Max and I have both built that one.
And like 80% color separation. Like, wow.
And it has a good balance with the fin funnel backpack on it too.
Exactly. Like, all it needs is like maybe some effect parts in a stand, like the what was it? The New Gundam Verka, I think, had those. Or was it the High New Gundam? I think it was the High New that had the effects. Did the New Gundam Verka come with effects for the funnels though?
Actually, neither of them came with funnel effects. They came with the clear spider arms to hold the funnels, but as far as like the beam effect parts, the only thing I can think of that came with that was the
old High New.
And the double fin funnel P Bandai expansion kit.
Oh, it did. Oh, that's interesting.
On a somewhat unrelated note, talking about the funnel effect parts reminds me of one thing I thought was hilarious building the guy on. I feel like that thing's entire body has mostly terrible articulation, especially considering when it came out, but the hands seem like really, really awesome. It's like, let's just make the body awful and put everything good into the giant hands.
I think the body's perfectly sufficient, really. I mean, there's nothing that I feel like, oh, this could have been better. Like, it's perfectly.
I don't know. I just remember, like, most parts on it don't really bend more than 90 degrees. I think some barely manage the 90 degrees.
I think you were building a different guy on than the one I built, because I'm looking at it right now, and just looking at the joints, I can tell it's probably got at least a 140 out of the elbows. You know what? I'm going to grab him out of the shelf right now and just fiddle around with the guy on while you guys are talking and just refresh my memory on the range of motion.
Mine is very close by, too.
He's got around 110 degrees out of the elbow.
There's the legs that weren't super great. I mean, I guess they're not terrible, but...
The legs are like a 90, yeah, but the way the legs are shaped, I don't really feel they could have gotten more out of them.
And feet can't move a ton?
They kind of move side to side.
Of course, I also remember this is like I was up visiting Dan actually, and we had like a few movies on. I was like, well, I'll put this together, and he was putting together his
the FX.
Yes, the FX. He's building the FX, and it's just like he's like, oh, look at all these parts I can do near 180s, and I'm like, look at these legs, they can do 90.
90.
Yeah, he let me see that, and it was just like. And this is a newer kit. That was pretty much my reaction. This is a newer kit, and it's.
I think the hands make up for it, though. You have to realize it's almost a kit and a half with how much there is on those hands.
I think there's one other like weird thing on it though, with the like the body of it, being a little limited. The arms, they don't have anything super fancy, and they're not like gigantic mega biceps like you see on some of them. So it seems even weirder that they don't have a near 180 range of motion.
And the thing is, you have to realize this is just an 1,800 yen high grade. Like, that's the normal, like, high grade price. And considering how massive the backpack is and you get all those beam effects, I don't really think that it's kind of underperforming for its price, really.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the body's lackluster, but like I said, the hands are, like, incredible. Like, they even look
they are.
good.
I found mine have loosened up a little bit over time, but not too bad. The Schwab Grays, though, has turned into a bit of a ragdoll, I found, especially in the torso.
Huh.
He kind of
mine is still in the exact same pose.
he sort of slumps down into his spine if you let him sit for a while, so I just kind of collapsed his body down. So he's all slouchy and old now.
Well, the best high-grade winner from last year, the Black TriStar Zaku 2 Origin version, that thing's doing just fine.
Oh yeah, my Origin Zaku is doing pretty awesome as well.
All right, so before we get on to the meat of this particular episode, let's talk a little bit about the news that's come out in the past month. And again, I mean, I know Second's done his own videos on the Gunpla announcements. We, of course, have my new series, Plastic Reflects, about the IBO episodes.
And we're like a month behind, so...
We are a month behind, so we're just really going to talk about what we're looking forward to. And Second and I both share this sentiment. We are ready for that MG GM Sniper 2. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Bandai.
I'm not even a giant fan of most GMs either, but you know, I really like that one as well.
What I hate about it is that somebody pointed out in the comment, one of the comments on my video, and this drives me mad because I didn't notice this until he pointed it out, but they like completely fumbled the proportions on that. Like the shoulders are like really high up on the body, so he kind of looks like he's always shrugging, and the guards themselves are like stretched vertically, and then the like vents on the back of the legs are kind of not shaped right. They're kind of more like hexagonal instead of rectangular, and then the kneecaps on the front are like really wide, like they almost look like the Hazel's legs more than the Jim Sniper's legs. And it bugs me because I didn't notice any of those little things. And like the torso's not the right like size too, and like everything once you start looking at it just kind of visually falls apart. And it bugs me because I was so excited for that kit, and now it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, I'm still gonna get one at some point anyway, so.
I feel like it's not a big blow to me since I never liked the GMs of any kind the whole time, but that one actually I think looks really great.
And I think it's just the reason why the proportions might be off is I doubt they would have made an entirely new internal frame for it. So we're more than likely looking at the internal frame off the Gundam or GM 2.0, maybe the Master Grade RX-78 Origin, or the 3.0's internal frame.
I'm hoping it's a sort of pre-tool for an Alex 2.0.
That would be
always
epic.
Hope for the Alex.
That would be amazing. That would make up for the proportions on the Gym 2.
All right. Max, didn't you say there was...
Yes. They were both really excited about the GM Sniper, whereas for me, I was literally talking with Dan one day, about 7 hours or something before an announcement was made, and I was like, yeah, you know, metal builds are kind of cool, but I can never buy one. They're too expensive. It'd have to be something like really crazy, but I'd like it'd have to be like Death Scythe Hell or maybe Gundam F91, but we know that's never going to happen. They barely remember the F91, and then just like the next morning, it's like, hey, look, several hours ago they announced the metal build F91, so I guess here's an F90 or here's a metal build I'll probably buy. So I'm excited about that, and also dread putting the money into it.
And we still haven't even gotten pricing on that yet.
Or release date, but it does look really nice.
Which surprises me because we've gotten a lot of official images of it, yet you'd think they would have had something pertaining to that so far.
They usually drag their feet on metal builds from what I remember.
I do partially wonder, though, like if maybe that could be slightly influenced by, there was that poll where people said, hey, what manga or whatever would you like to see get a series or whatever, and you know, Crossbone got the most votes, or a lot of them at least.
Crossbone won that by far, I think.
I've always felt like an F91 extension into Crossbone would be really cool, but I also feel like a lot of Crossbone would have to be a little bit rewritten, and a lot of things would have to be a little redesigned.
Yeah, I think I think everyone voting for Crossbone had never actually read Crossbone. That's kind of my suspicion. Because, like, Crossbone is like that one where everyone you talk to is like, oh, yeah, dude, like, Crossbone's super awesome, guys. And then you read it, and it's like, not really. I mean, it's good, but it's not great. Like, I wouldn't even.
It's okay, but great. Like as far as mobile suit designs go, the Crossbone is about the only good design for 99% of the time.
I know, and like everyone like is like, okay, I saw the Crossbone in Build Fighters, that looks cool, but really, I mean, that's it. Like the Crossbone is cool, and that's like all there is, like exceptionally good about Crossbone as a manga.
Yeah, and then there was a second manga, the Skullheart, which was like little short stories, and it was mostly not good. I didn't like Crossbone. The first one was okay. Skullheart, I didn't like at all. Steel 7 was okay, and I would like to know how Ghost was, but Ghost was translated for like 7 chapters, and then people gave up on it. Then Dust isn't even so far at all. Wait, Dan was also, and I don't really share the sentiment, Dan was kind of excited for the Luna Gazer.
Mm-hmm. I definitely want the Luna Gazer.
I just don't really feel
I'm getting one of
by
those.
it.
If I'm getting one of those, I'm going to have to paint it because that is like the absolute worst sheen of gray plastic there is. Like, it looks just so cheap. Like, you can almost see through it. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's just kind of dull to me.
It reminds me of that plastic that Hasbro used to use for their Transformers figures right around 2011 when they started like really cheapening them down. And they were like, hey, this guy's supposed to be silver, but we'll make him out of like the crappiest gray plastic we have, and he looks like a knockoff now. Poor Sideswipe.
So on to the main topic for the night then?
Which is the exact opposite of what was just being said.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done lists where we've said like what high grades we'd want to see, what master grades we would want to see. Now we're going to look at the kits that we have built, and we're going to talk about kits that we think have stood the test of time. One of the biggest rules is I believe we said it's got to be 8 years or older.
Yeah, like pre-2010, pre-09, reasonably old.
So I guess I'll lead us off. And as I stated before we started the episode, Master Grade Rick Diaz. After building it, I think it's such a fun suit. I love the individually posable fingers. It does have the very old hip style, but I'm more than willing to give it a pass on that because mine has survived a couple falls, nothing's broken. And second, I can hear you groaning in the background.
Like, it's literally just as bad as like everything else from that era. Like, I just can't see why you like that kit. I mean, the knees don't even bend 90 degrees.
They don't have to for that suit.
The knees don't even. The Dom doesn't need legs to move 90 degrees, and the Origin one can kick his own butt. I mean, I really cannot see why you like that kit.
What's funny is this is the return of the podcast that I didn't record them on.
Yeah.
Dan mentioned Rick Diaz, and at the same time, seconds.
And he mentioned like 2 other terrible kits I don't like as well.
It was a fun listen.
Yes, that's what makes us work. It's like we have our chemistry. We have the kits we like. We have the kits we hate. And Second and I will never agree on which Hainu is better.
It'll always be the good one. The good one is the best one.
Which is the Verka.
Which is the real one.
Verka.
Real one.
Which is the Verka.
But the Verka doesn't have the cool stripes. How's he going to confuse the enemy? It's like the tiger stripe they had on the old battleship, so you couldn't tell where the front of the ship is. Now you can't tell where the front of the Hainu is. You'll never see him coming. He's going to drop kick your Hainu right in the face, and he'll be just completely in awe as his head flies off from that stupid little LED port attachment that never stays on, and there's just going to be a Hainu head drifting off into the sunset as the real Hainu poses awesomely in front of the exploding corpse of the Verka.
Do you need a Valium? All right. Waiter, 1 Valium for Second Soundwave, please. But anyways, who's next? Second or Max?
I'll go ahead and jump up. I was going to say for mine, what was really weird, like I mentioned this before we recorded, was I kind of had a lot of trouble thinking for a bit because I had built a ton back before like 2003, and then I had about 12 years off. And I realized recently everything I've built came out in the past 3 or 4 years. But I kind of looked through all of mine over and over and realized, oh, here's a really awesome one that I keep not realizing the age of. So I think that makes it a really good contender. Is the high grade HDUC Gaplant. Even like looking at it, like I'm surprised that came out in 2003.
It is a pretty nice kit for its age.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's got the giant booster on the back. So even when Dan saw it when he was visiting a while back, and he was just like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize how big it was." But I mean, it's
and of course Dan loves the Hyrule, so
I think he regrets that one versus this now. But
I do.
I mean, it's got pretty good articulation all around for the time and everything too. I think the legs, the knees are the only bad part, but even then they nearly get 90, which is impressive considering the like lower half of the legs or like the width of the torso.
So Dan,
Pretty much.
It also transforms really well. I don't think it parts forms. I don't think I remember that at all. I thought it did, and then I realized I was doing it wrong.
Dan, was your problem with the Hyrule based around the rifle, or is it the shoulders?
The shoulders.
There's something in the transformation.
Oh, okay.
The extra shoulder armor that's added on.
And then
you still get the old shoulders with the Hyrule?
You do, but
have you tried just taking them off and switching them out with the normal shoulders to make like a half and half thing?
You can't, because what makes the Hyrule is those big bulky add-ons. They go over the top of the original Gaplant shoulders, and then when you
take them off.
When you pull the transformation, you're supposed to pull them off, but what they're supposed to do is lock in to the back skirt. And I'll be darned if I've ever gotten them to actually lock in. That's why I've never finished it. And the only thing I need to finish is that long rifle.
You haven't even built the rifle?
Not that long rail rifle, no.
Something. Yeah. I think even like the original one, like it had something that was supposed to lock in, and it was really awkward to do at first, and that's why I thought it was parts forming, and then the second time it went perfectly. But I mean, like I don't have any complaints about it at all, other than I wish it didn't have toothpick beam sabers. But I mean, this is a high grade from 2003, so
what are you gonna do?
7 years away from ditching those for forever.
All right, second.
I am going to go with one that I will admit I have not built myself, but this is one that I really, really like, and I've heard a lot of good things about it, and looking at it, from what I've seen, it is pretty awesome. This is the high-grade Universal Century Hazel Custom. I have to say, looking at that kit, if you just showed me that kit, had me build that kit, asked me when it came out, I probably would have said like 2011, 2012, but actually no, it's a 2005 release. And it is a really good one for the time. Like the color separation is really good, and just the articulation's good, the detail's great, and it's just an all-around awesome looking suit.
Just for clarification, which Hazel are we talking about? The black and white one, or are we talking about the one that's mostly blue?
The Hazel Custom, which is the white one.
Oh, okay.
The Advanced Hazel is the blue one with the double shields and the big front skirt, and then the Hazel 2 is the one with the kind of things on the back that I can't verbally describe very well. But I'm sure Max will throw up an image right here, won't he, Max?
Boom.
There you go.
I hope I do it like 10 minutes after saying boom.
Yes. Or like you put up like completely the wrong picture.
Yeah. Inverted the colors and everything.
Yes. Or like you're like making these edits to it as we're describing them.
Too lazy for that, especially during the week.
Well, there is that. All right.
I do really like a lot of the Hazel kits. I was always kind of worried about them with their age, but so I guess it's really nice to know that one's great. That one's great.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like cross compatibility between the parts on them. Like between the Hyrule and the 3 Hazels, you can like switch around a lot of parts to like make some of the other variants from the manga, or was it a novel? I think it was a novel.
I think AOZ was like a graphic novel or something like that.
Right, like it was a photo novel, I think, in like Hobby Japan or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still really hoping someone translates that someday. I want to read it.
One day, that's all we can hope for.
Have Zionic do it, and they'll get 3 chapters in, then quit forever.
But translate like one sentence.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering why no one is translating Dust, but I read someone's like translated description of it, and the only thing I could think was this sounds really weird, even for crossbow.
Yeah. Like, oh, by the way, do you remember I think it was last podcast, I was talking about, what was it, like Re-Advance of Zeta, and I was like asking if it was like just a bunch of like redesigns or if there was like something based around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I found the manga it's based off of. No one's translated it, but the, apparently, I don't remember if it was Hobby Japan or Gundam Ace or what, but the magazine that had it actually has all of their manga, or at least all of the older ones, like up on their site. So if you read Japanese, you can actually read it on their site.
I'm looking right at this next one that I'm going to talk about, and this is one that I was leery of at first, but then after I built it, I completely fell in love with it, and I'm ready to do a Kit Bash custom with this suit. The 1.5 or the eyes, or however the bloody heck you say it, but the 1.5 Gundam is definitely a high grade I recommend any day of the week.
Are you like targeting kits that you know I hate?
Is it too close to Via Reborns for you?
The Reborns, it's just that the Reborns is like hands down the worst thing I've ever built. And like, I can't see a kit that's 90% identical to it being any better.
I just remember looking at Dan's and be like, it doesn't have that stupid shield. Or that stupidly attaching shield.
The shield is like 1/4 of what I don't like about it, though. Like, the legs suck, and like the stickers suck, and the transformation's terrible, and just everything about it is just and the 1.5 fixes like half of that.
And that's why it needs a Master Grade RE.
I can't
do it, Bandai.
Yeah, I'd honestly prefer, I think real grade would be the one I'd be looking forward to, just so it's in the proper scale. To fit in with all the other in with all the other 00 stuffs, and otherwise it's like, hey, here's the Reborns and a couple sets in a suit.
You still get the Reborns.
Enjoy your 00 collection.
You get the Reborns.
Yeah.
All right. The next one, but I was thinking, actually, this wasn't one I was originally thinking about until like Second kind of pointed out that I had the age on them slightly wrong. But I'd go with, and I guess I'll have to name mine, even though it's only a slight variant. But the high grade Arios, like heavy weapons, whatever one, the GNHW M whatever.
GNHW/app.
Yeah, heavy weapons missile pack or whatever. And I guess they're both fine because all it really is like a slightly different gun and then a little backpack. But I mean, it's got a good transformation. I'm pretty sure I remember 0 parts forming on it. Like I keep trying to think if it had that to see if I'm wrong, but I don't remember it. It's got really good posability all around. I mean, like one thing I think is kind of cool, and this partially just comes from the transformation, is its arms, like rather than doing the usual like lift of like 90 to like 110 degrees up, like you can make its arm reach almost straight up, like sideways.
He does have those weird shoulder joints though.
Yeah.
Where like the ball joint like drops in downwards instead of coming in from the side.
Yeah. So that's part of the thing on that. The legs are a little bit weird because you have to kind of like lock them in the position to get it to stand up. And I didn't have that. I didn't realize that quite right at first. But I mean, it all around, like everything on it's really posable. It looks really good. I mean, there's a few spots where it could have better color separation. Not really. Like the main thing I keep thinking about is like one part that I just colored in with a Gundam marker. And later on when I looked at it, I think half the time when you see pictures, that part's black, and half the time it's just outlined. I went ahead and made it black just to make it stand out more. But I mean, I can't think of any great complaints about it.
Which part of the kit is that?
The forearm.
Like the part that hinges for the wrist, or?
It's kind of like right above where the guns and the arms are.
Oh, okay, that.
Like
that indented rectangle, kind of?
Yeah, like a lot of pictures you see all it has is a outline, but I've seen some, like maybe it's just like overly shadowed where it's actually kind of darkened. But I went ahead and just made that completely black because I think I remembered it wrong when I was doing that or whatever. And I mean, I personally like it better because otherwise it's just a big piece of white along the arm without really anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that looking better.
But I mean, like, its head looks really good. You know, I mean, it's just, I mean,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
The mobile suit itself is just a good design. So the fact that it went over the model really well, like, makes me look at it and like, hey, this came out in 2007 or 8, but this is, you know, really, really good.
It is, and I definitely agree with you on that one. I will add that there is only one piece of parts forming on it, and that's the back skirt. You do have to pull it off and switch it around.
Oh, yeah, God. I forgot about how stupid that was.
But, yes, because all they had to do is put it on, like, a different kind of poly cap, and it would have been able to rotate fine.
Yeah, make it spin.
Yes, that's all it would have taken.
Just like the Age Gundam's beam rifle.
Although, to be fair...
Make it spin to make it more powerful.
To be fair, I think considering how little clearance there is there, I probably would find myself just pulling it off and reattaching it anyways, even if it did spin.
Just out of worry.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I think I'm going to, you guys have been both mentioning 00 Season 2 kits, and I am going to kind of carry on that line of thought with the 00 Gundam. Now, the version I have, the one that I built as my very first model, is the 00 Riser Condenser type, which was a 2010 release. But the original 00 Gundam came out in 2008, and I'm going to be counting that one since that was the first use to the mold. And it's just a really good kit. And this was, you have to realize, this is back when there weren't really any, like, really great high grades. Like, there were some pretty awesome ones, like the Hazel Custom. You know, there was some stuff like the, well, I guess even the high-grade New Gundam wasn't out yet. But this was when, you know, universal hips and double joint knees and double joint elbows and swing forward shoulders. Like, you never saw all of those on the same kit. And the 00 Gundam had those. It has like practically a 90-degree bend each direction on the ankles. And you can do like anything you want with it. And the color separation is really good. And he's got some awesome weapons. And he has the O-Riser. And it's just such an awesome kit. And I built that so long ago, and it came out even before that. And I think that just it holds its ground so well next to the newer kit, like really well. And it was actually the reason that I actually thought up the idea for this topic was because I looked down like, wow, this looks like a Revive kit or an All Gundam Project kit.
And that was the high grade one, right?
Yeah, high grade.
When did you say that came out?
For some reason, when you talked about the condenser, I was thinking about how you got those original really terrible ones, and I was like, what?
No.
When did you say it came out second?
The condenser type in particular was 2010, but it's really just a light modification of the 00 Riser, which was like late 2008, and the original 00 Gundam mold came out in early 2008.
I've actually got the list of kits when they were released, and New Gundam, the HGUC, that was actually March of 08. So,
oh, it was? So it might have actually been out by then.
I could take a look, but it would just take me a couple minutes.
Yeah, but the New Gundam still didn't have quite the same level of articulation as the 00.
One of us would have to get it and build it.
Yeah, well, I just so happen to have the High New Gundam, which is like very similar to it, and it does have ball-jointed hips, and the elbows aren't that great. But other than that, yeah, it's like a 9 out of 10, while the 00 Riser is a 10 out of 10.
Okay. So I'm going to move up to the 1/100 scale. I've got 3 kind of floating around in my head here. And the first of them that I'm going to go for coming in, let's see, 1/100 scale, no grade, Chaos Gundam from Seed Destiny.
Okay.
I loved building that kit. There are some sticker details that could have probably been done a little bit better, such as the I can't remember if they gave you stickers for the white cheek marks that the suit has, but the transformation was not a parts forming bit at all. It was fully transformable. It still had the ball and socket hips, but I just think it was a fun little kit to put together. Again, one that I would recommend no matter what.
I'm kind of amused that you mentioned that, because that's about like 3 kits removed from what I thought you were going to say when you said no grade 1/100 seed.
You thought I was going to say Savior.
I was like, okay, he's going to say Savior, He might say Legend. He might say Zaku, but he might maybe say Chaos, and then he said Chaos. I was like, oh, okay, that's way far off from what I thought you were going to say. But, like, yeah, those Seed no grades are actually pretty all right. Like, they aren't, like, I wouldn't say any of them are, like, amazing, but I think they're pretty solid kits. And I definitely plan on getting the, what was it? It was, like, Reza Burrow's Slash Zaku Phantom or something. I'm definitely going to get one of those at some point just because I really like that design.
Another Slash Zaku, Blaze Zaku Phantom, actually, is Heine Westenflus's, the orange one.
Yeah, the Blaze Zaku, I guess, because actually, I don't think they made a graded kit of the Slash Zaku. They just made the little no-grade 1/44.
You are correct in that. I think they also made they did, if I remember right, they did make one high grade of the Slash Zaku because Izak piloted one.
I don't think that was a Slash Zaku. I think they're all Blast Zakus because I've done the research, and the only Slash Zakus we've ever gotten are the no-grade 1/44 and the mobile suit in action. Those are the only physical representations of it we have.
Just to confirm. Okay, Luna's Gunner Warrior, Zaku
and then
Gunner
the normal
Warrior.
Gunner Warrior. And then there's Blaze Zakus. And then...
The live concert version.
Yes, best Zaku.
Goof Ignited. Murasame. I want to get my hands on one of those.
That does look like a cool kit. I also like it just because it's kind of like the sort of Zeta Plus of the Seed universe, and I really like the Zeta Plus, so...
You are correct, sir. There was no high grade of the Slash. All we got was some dopey little no grade.
And I know that because I have a friend who really, really, really likes the Slash Zaku Phantom, and he's always complaining about how there's, like, no good kits of it.
Wish denied.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I guess I'll take over. And I thought it was funny when I wrote this one down, especially after the comments about how it was expected for Dan to say Savior or whatever. But I mean, I kind of want to go ahead and say the Master Grade F91. I mean, just out of it at the time that it came out as well. Like, I don't think I would have expected it to have gotten one, but it's. I mean, I guess it is a Master Grade, so it has to be more or less good. But I mean, it's by now about 10 years old. It's all of its arm. I can't speak. Like, all of the articulation on it's pretty good. I think most limbs will bend around 180 degrees. The only things I have big complaints about on it is the oh my god, I can't talk at all. Are the hands of the individually posing fingers, just since those can never really get a tight hold on weapons. So it's kind of weird posing them and kind of hoping they'll hold them right. I remember being blown away by those back in the early 2000s and stuff when first finding out about Master Grades, and now it's like I really love this idea, but it sucks that the actual execution of it is just never great. I mean, it does have little pegs to hold the guns in, but I feel like you still just can't get it to hold it super straight. Because every time I do, I start reposing it, and then now it's drooping. But I mean, my only complaints is like that. Not really a complaint, but the ankles don't have a ton of movement. But I mean, it comes with an awesome base, so why am I ever going to have it on the ground? Its little funnels come out. It's got the fins that open up on the legs. I mean, a lot of it comes down to as well. I just love the design of the F91, so I love the chest design, the thrusters on the back. But I feel like the weapons on it are really well made. Like, they've just got a lot of. I don't know. I was even just looking at it a moment ago, and they just, to me, look really good the way all the colors and parts separate on it. And then, of course, you've got the VSBRs on the back. They've got a wide range of motion. They swing down really cleanly and nicely. They aim all about. I know there is the complaint Dan has if he doesn't like the extra handles on it. I don't really mind them too much, but also the way mine is posed, I can't see them. The only other big issue I can think of is, I love that it can do the posable face, and obviously it can't pose the face the correct way of where it opens to the side, because that would be really hard to do for the size, I figure. But the helmet's kind of loose as a result, so when you move the head around, it touches the thruster in the back, and then the helmet pops right off. But I guess I mean, it's a complaint, but I guess at the same time, I'd rather it fit loosely than super tight and be impossible to change the face.
So
I still want a 2.0 out of a unbelievable love for the F91, but you know, even if it wasn't this one, I feel like it's a really, you know, it's a really great kit.
well, there is the metal build.
Yeah, but that's like a 2017 thing at this point, so, and also probably like 5 times the price.
Well, yeah, but actually that brings up something that's interesting. Is to my knowledge, the metal build kits are technically non-scale, but they are right around 1/100 size. What I'm wondering is, with how small the F91 is, are they going to make it match the head height of everything else, or are they going to keep it in scale with them? Because there doesn't seem to be like a scale for the metal builds.
It's interesting. I would like to see somehow, like, here's 1/160th of it, but
Well, there's the old no grade.
that thing with its like printed plastic and stuff.
Yeah. And now they're back in 2016. They're bringing that back with the figurized bus.
But at least they know what they're doing this time around.
True. So did either of you guys actually have any plans on picking those up?
Nope.
No.
You're not even going to get like a Kira one
No.
or an Atherin for your Savior Gundam?
Nope.
I was going to say if Dan got one, it'd be Atherin, but
Yeah.
No.
I'm getting at least one lock on Stratos when they release it, and I think that'll probably be it.
yeah, I can't think of any I'd be too crazy about. Like maybe Lock On would be one.
Maybe Duo.
I'd say like, you know,
cool.
maybe some versions of Char, but not really his original version. That one just looks kind of silly to me.
Quattro.
I get one of those, sure.
Yes, get the 80s man.
Yes, I love, like, he has like one of my favorite character designs. I love just how like completely 80s he looks.
He's up in space with his giant sunglasses, bright red leather jacket, and his golden mobile suit.
Someday, I'm going to go to a convention
Big, like,
cosplaying as
yellow
him
mullet.
someday. I don't know how I'll pull it off, but I'll do it.
We can figure it out.
Next one is second.
Yes. Should I go with this one? I mean, I've already mentioned the High New Gundam and New Gundam like 4 different times in this podcast. So I'm just going to skip over it and mention one that, again, I have not built myself, but I've been meaning to get around to it many, many times. And from what I've seen of it, it does seem to be a pretty awesome kit that does get overlooked nowadays with the myriad of newer versions of it that there are now. But the RX-78 one-year war version is pretty darn awesome, considering it's like a 2,500 yen kit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One-year war master.
I don't know if it's 2,500 yen MSRP, but like that's the general price you see it for, like on HobbyLink Japan or whatever. Like MSRP, I think is probably closer to like 3,200 or something. Like it's right around the price of like something like the F91, maybe a little cheaper, but it's a really cheap copy of it, and it looks good. It's got a ton of panel lines. It's got really good articulation. And, like, the frame's a little dated, but not really, because everyone keeps saying it's the 1.5 frame. It's not the 1.5 frame. Like, you take the frames from those, you put them side by side. All they really share is that one leg runner that has, like, the multiple injection plastic. Everything else is brand new on it. And it just looks really awesome. It's got the details, and I have to say, I wasn't really a fan of them at first, but I've really grown to like the game colors where they have the kind of faded red and the sort of off-white cream color. I think they actually look really good. And it's one of those kits where I would like definitely like go all out panel lining if I got one. Because it just, if you don't, it just doesn't look right.
Trying to see if I can find out when that one was released.
I think the fun thing with like the RX-78 is I've just never cared about like the original one a huge amount. Like in any form they've released, it's just always been too bland for me. Like the latest Master Grade, you know, was really cool, but it's still kind of along the lines of like it's almost.
I can't get over the proportions on that.
I really like the proportions. What I can't understand is why we didn't get a even a P Bandai version of it in the G3 colors. I would have gone nuts for that.
I think what's weird about it is the way the head's shaped kind of makes it look like it has no neck. And then like the torso looks like he's a little inflated sideways, and then the arms just look too straight in some of the pictures I've seen, and just there's like a lot of little things with it that just make it look weird, in like almost like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade inflatable balloon of the RX-78 more than the actual RX-78. Oh, by the way, I actually had a really good idea a few days ago. You know how in Zeta Gundam, the Rick Diaz had like those inflatable decoys you could shoot out of its arms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you bought...
It shot him
like
out of the fingers almost.
Yes. What if you bought like a bunch of the old like single color 1/144th no grades and like used them as the decoys? Because they have like the more puffy, less detailed colors, and they're like solid red, and they don't have to pose because they're just decoys.
Just make balloon animals.
Exactly. Just snap build a couple no grade Rick Diaz's and throw them on the shelf next to your high grade, and they'll look awesome.
That could work. Okay. I'm going to go really old school with this one. Just like the old school review that I did, and say that the high grade 1/100 Serpent, for what it is, has stood the test of time.
That is a pretty awesome kit.
It needs a lot of help, and it could definitely do with a new one. But for what it is, it has stood the test of time.
And it's funny because I actually remember seeing that right around the same time as the High New Gundam. And that was actually another one where I thought, oh, wow, this looks really cool. I want one. But, of course, it was out of print anywhere. And I'm actually probably going to pick one up pretty soon just because it is a pretty awesome kit. And actually, it's funny because as I've been like trying to think of things to mention, I've looked around and realized that I have built like exactly one kit that's actually from 2016, and it was just a recolor of an older kit. Like every single thing I built has been like, you know, Master Grade Zeta 2.0, you know, high grade Dynamez. It's like all been like stuff like that, or like the High New Gundam. It's all been like kits from at least last year, if not like 5 or 10 years ago.
It's a funny contrast to me getting back in after all this time and barely going beyond 3 years.
Yeah. You need to pick yourself up a Hazel, maybe. Well, you do have the Gap plant, so...
I do, with its giant green toothpicks.
Yes. What I did
would say, like, even the head on that was really nice.
What I did with the toothpick on the Astria Type F is I cut it about an inch above the handle at kind of a diagonal, and then painted the blade silver and just kind of scraped and sculpted it into sort of like a kind of just metal combat knife kind of, and it actually looks way better than just a toothpick.
Well, it's like my my high grade Brave Commander, where I put like orange glitter on the blade, and it's kind of a Cheeto sword now.
I want to see someone like do that to like the entire kit, like maybe for like the do like
Chester
a Trans Am mode Gundam with like pink glitter or something.
Chester Cheeto Gundam.
Ay.
I did have one more wrote down that I thought of ahead of time. I mean, I got honorable mentions that would be like, here's a quick name, but I actually, you know, when I was thinking back on it, I've not looked at this one a lot lately, so I had to actually go look back and see other people's reviews of it. But, you know, we've actually mentioned it a few times in the review so far now, but the old, super old 1/100 full action new Gundam.
Yes.
I mean, like, even when you look at, like, each individual part, it's not super amazing because like most of the joints barely bend 90 degrees and everything, but you know, it's just a big, nice kit. It's got all the die-cast like metal parts in it. So like with the legs being extra heavy, it has like amazing balance.
Open cockpit.
Yeah, it has that, which is like super amazing for back then.
That might actually be the first model that had an opening cockpit.
You know, one thing that's really awesome that it had, but I didn't remember, is the wrist on it will actually bend 90 degrees forward.
Oh, wow.
Which, like, you don't really see that on much of anything, so that's, like, really awesome to have.
Like, the 00 kits did have a bit of a wrist hinge, but it was maybe, like, 10 to 20 degrees at most.
Yeah, and this guy can just completely, boom, like, just 90.
Just break his wrists.
Yep.
For what reason? Like, is that for, like, the bazooka, or?
I have no idea.
I think it might have been for the bazooka.
Yeah, because they didn't have, like, the swiveling handles for them back then, so that was probably the only way to get it over his shoulder.
Yeah, pretty much all the joints on it were basically just single joints where you put straight pegs into into little VC caps. But I mean, despite everything, it came together really nicely. Like, yes, it is a 32-year-old kit now. Wait.
88, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 88.
But I mean, it is like super old now. But I mean, the thing has, I mean, it's just for what it is. It's like way ahead of its time.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I think that is probably the first kit that had an opening cockpit. That's cool.
Doing what I can to see if I can figure out when that came out.
Well, the movie came out in 88, so the latest the kit would have come out would have been probably 89, like early 89, I think.
I feel like part of probably what helped make them able to do a lot of things better with it as well is since Gundams for All kept getting bigger, 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 and bigger. You know, 1/100th of the new is obviously really big, kind of like how the Sazabi 1/100th is just this like giant monster.
Right, and even then, the old Master Grade had like no inner frame, or like at least had like a little bit of inner frame. It was pretty pathetic.
Actually, it's got a lot of inner frame. That was my first MG that I ever built, and
it does. Like, I've looked at that online. It looks like there's not much frame on it. Like, it looked like it was all armor, pretty much.
No, it was mostly frame, actually.
Huh, I must be misremembering it, because I thought it was, like, closer to the Double Zeta Gundam, where it's like, hey, here's a giant high grade, have fun.
No. The, I remember talking with Max about this quite a bit. I remember I was just blown away with how you could easily take a lot of the external armor off, and boom, there's the internal frame, just as you see it, like from the movie. Like when they're building it, you could almost perfectly recreate that scene with the MG 1.0.
Interesting.
And it also has die-cast pieces in it. One for the groin and one for each ankle.
Yeah, it's really good
I
that
don't suppose it really needs that since it's got such a wide foot base.
Metal groin. But it's really good to have like the heavy legs though, just for that big, funnel backpack.
All right.
Yeah. Unless you want to like put him in like a flying kicking pose kind of, in which case you're gonna have some weight issues.
The 1/100 was 88.
Okay, that's what I figured.
And the MG followed a couple years later.
The MG New Gundam, like I have to say, the 1.0 MG New is again pretty darn good. Like, I don't think it's like a great kit, but looking at it, it seems like I'd probably put it about like exactly on par with the high grade. Just because like I look at it, it's like, wow, they took the Master Grade and they pretty much scaled it down and stripped out the frame for the high grade, and I'm okay with that. I really am.
The hands leave a little bit to be desired, but I know one big advantage it's got over the Vercon, that's the fact that the funnels will actually stay together when they're on the backpack.
Yeah, and it's actually more movie accurate too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a beast. It was an absolute beast to build.
That's another one that I'm thinking like maybe at some point I'll grab, but it has to be like really cheap and like I have to be like out of other kits to build.
I feel that way about several. Like there's a bunch I'd love to get, but at the same time it's always like, well, there's like 30 others I'd rather get first. Nothing against this. Like
I did a count and there's like 1,300 different unique Gunpla kits in existence, and like there's a lot I'd go through before I get to doing a Master Grade New Gundam.
All right, I guess this will be my last one.
Is there another one for second, or are you out?
I'm pretty much out.
I'm gonna go with the 1/100th Overflag.
Okay.
That one, I mean, it needs a tiny bit of help with the fact that the sabers are completely clear, and they have the handles attached to them, so the handles aren't a separate piece. But just
better than a toothpick.
It is far better than a toothpick. You just need a little bit of black, a little bit of clear blue, and you're all done. But I've not had any issues with mine. The transformation it's just a couple quick motions, but you do have to be careful. But it does what it needs to do. There's not much head articulation, but again, the kit pulls off the look very well, and the mechanical detail they worked into it for even a no grade is pretty high. It's one of the things they touted, actually, was the mechanical detail they'd worked into it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have anything huge left. Like I did kind of think of some other ones, but the problem is like so many of my older kits are back at my mom's in a box. So I saw them briefly a while back when I was searching for the gun tank, and I didn't really mess with them any. but they at least like the looks of them are really, really good. You know, just considering kind of the time. But
I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the gun tank R44 yet.
I actually had 3 honorable mentions wrote down just in case, and it's one of them. So,
oh, really?
So one honorable mention goes to the gun tank R44, being from 1991, a itty bitty tiny 1/100th that looks like it would be a 1/44th. But the other ones I had wrote down,
you should build the Lotos sometime.
I remember you mentioned that. I looked it up because I'd seen it before and stuff, but I just always forget about it existing.
It's like a tactical R44. It's so awesome.
Yeah, but the other 2 I mentioned, like nothing amazing to them or anything. Either kind of like how the gun tank was a simple one, but just a really nice, fun, solid one that just looks kind of nice for what it is. Are actually both from Gundam Wing. I have it wrote down. Death Scythe Hell from February '96 and Shenlong from '95.
These are 1/100s.
Yes, the 1/100 versions.
TV versions.
Yeah.
Right,
not the TV ones. Because I mean, they come with the old 1/144s came with clear like blade parts, but these ones came with the clear parts. I'm sorry, what was that? What God? They came with the smaller ones came with white blade parts, and these ones came with like the clear green whatever. But they both also have like a bunch of like bright golden plated stuff for them. Like the Death Scythe Hell has these golden ribs, the shield, and some other parts on the Shenlong are golden.
Oh, those are plated?
Yeah, they actually are.
I always thought those were like those really tacky metallic stickers that they used to use.
Nope.
No. It's actual actual gold.
Oh, that is cool. That is cool. I didn't know that.
When I opened the box, I was like, oh my god, I don't remember these looking this good. Like, I remember they put the 1/144s to shame, but I was assuming I just remembered how good they were in comparison. But, I mean, they're like a lot of the things back then. They only move about 90 degrees in all their joints and everything, but they all around look really solid, really good. All the special effect parts look really good. All the special abilities they have work, like like Shenlong's arm going out. Death Scythe Hell's wings move about.
Hey, because of that twin-bladed beam sight, they give you 2 different blade options for the top emitter: just the standard one or the the big Mama Jamma one.
Heck, you get 2 for both of the emitters.
Like, that's cool.
Like both of them have a small one and both have like a gigantic one. I think this one was interesting when I was looking at it, because obviously back then Glory of Losers didn't exist, but you can actually, with the old one, like the top emitter can aim all around, so you can have it aim straight up, so it basically becomes the beam scissors that Death Scythe Hell has in Glory of Losers.
Oh, that's cool. I have to say, the TV Shenlong design, they kind of, I have to say, out of the EW or Glory of Losers, whatever you want to call them, redesigns they did for the Master Grades, I feel like the Shenlong kind of fared the worst in that, because that new arm thing is just really not as good as the old one, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And that's like the only cool thing the Shenlong does. Like, it's really not that interesting a design. I mean, the Trident's cool, but like, the Shenlong is its arm, basically. That's its identity, and they botched it up, and it's kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, I keep trying to look at the Master Grade version of it at times, and I'm always like, do I like this? No, not really. It's okay. Really. But yeah, I mean, just like specifically those 2. Like, I don't think I had any of the other 1/100s of like the second. I mean, I know I have 1 or 2 of them, but I can't remember what they were now. But like those 2 specifically, like just looked the most striking to me.
I don't think they made a Sandrock Kai or Heavy Arms Kai though. So
they didn't even make a Heavy Arms.
1/100?
Nope.
Are you serious?
I did not remember that at all.
Did they seriously only make 4 out of the 5 Gundams?
They made 3.
You're kidding me.
Nope.
Who needs Sandrock?
They made no 1/100s for the Heavy Arms and everyone's least favorite Gundam?
No 1/100s. There's no 1/100 Heavy Arms. There is no 1/100 Sandrock. And
but they made the customs.
They did make the customs when Endless Waltz came out.
Why didn't they make the first ones then?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I mean, I get not making, making it if it was like really unpopular, but there's 5 Gundams in the show. It's not like G Gundam where there's like 4,000 different Gundams to make. There's 5 Gundams, and then the Tall Geese, and then the Epion.
Give me that windmill Gundam.
I mean, maybe if you really wanted to, you could make like the Byakuya and the Curious, but those really don't need to be more than 1/144th. All they had to do was make the Gundams, the Tolgis, and the Epion, and they just made 3. I still can't believe that they really didn't make 1/100s for the Heavy Arms and the Sandrock.
Wing 0, Death Scythe Hell, Shenlong, Ultron, Epion.
Not even a Tolgis?
No, you had to wait for Endless Waltz, and then you've got to do repaints.
Oh, right. They did that thing they did with the 1/144th, right, where they like give you the alternate parts, or
Yeah, you get the heads for Tallgeese 1 and 2, and you get the Tallgeese 1 shield and the Dober gun, but you have to do repaints because the plastic is pre-slugged for the Tallgeese 3.
Well,
it is kind of weird when you think about how little
it's better than them making it all white and expecting to paint it no matter what. So
that awful Tallgeese.
Yes.
But
I almost wanted to mention
how
it
little
as a
love
joke.
TV Wing gets. Do they hate the guy that made the Wing TV designs?
That's Okawara.
I think it's just the thing is, I think Kotoki as a designer name probably sells better than Gundam Wing is. So like the only way they can get them to sell is to like put his name on it.
But here's the thing. Kotoki designed some of the Oz suits. The Gundams were Okawara, Kunio Okawara,
Right.
the guy who designed the original RX-70.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just surprising how certain suits have been picked and not picked.
Yeah, because everything from Endless Waltz got a master grade. Well, at this point has.
And what I just
Sandrock.
Yeah, true.
I like how Sandrock doesn't even enter my mind on it.
Yeah, it's so, like everyone's least favorite Gundam.
I'm just so bored by the whole thing.
And we don't have a Master Grade Serpent, and we don't have a Master Grade Taurus, because technically Noin did fight in her Sank Kingdom Taurus.
True.
Those still weren't like super mainline ones, so I can kind of understand that at least. Whereas like the Gundam pilots are all a big focal point, and it's just kind of like, hey, how many versions of Wing do you guys want?
Exactly, and like, I just say though, it's kind of funny how, as good as like in general the Wing Master Grades are, and as much as I like the Death Scythe Hell, and as much as how I like the normal TV Death Scythe, I just can't get into the Master Grade Death Scythe. I don't know why. It just, I like the design. I just look at it, I'm like, it's okay. I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. Like the Hell design looks awesome, and then the normal one, like, it's the same thing just with different colors and different shoulders, and I like the new shoulders, and I like the new colors, and I like the overall look of it, but I just don't like it. I can't explain it.
It's kind of the opposite thing of not liking a suit until you see the model.
I mean, I'm probably not alone in that, considering Dan still hasn't built the normal Death Scythe, but...
What's actually funny is I have the Master Grade Death Scythe when he got it for me for my birthday before I got back into building the kits, and I kept being like, okay, I need to go find my old kits and kind of get back into it with those because I don't want to bust out the Master Grade version of one of my favorite, mobile or favorite Gundams, and just start building that for the first time in 10 years. Let me get kind of back used to doing it on some older, cheaper ones first.
Warm up on some white Tallgeeses.
Yes. Like all those super old ones that I found a while back that I knew that I had, but I couldn't find for years, and when I gave up on them existing, I found a box full.
Yes. Have you built that MG camper yet?
No, I'm kind of dreading it with how it ended up turning out.
I mean, it's not the worst out of the Master Grades from that era, from what I've seen. Like, I wouldn't call it great, but it's not, like, terrible.
I just don't feel super excited about it for now. So someday it'll be interesting to pull all those ancient Gunpla relics out, but there's still so many in general that I'm excited about now. Even it's kind of like, let's see, should I build this old interesting thing or this like new really awesome one?
Right, because you still kind of have a backlog, don't you?
Yes. Making progress, but it's still very big.
Right. So what's still in it?
There's a lot of stuff. I guess we're probably about done with like the main part of the show. So if you guys want to
More
talk
or less,
about
yeah.
like what we're building, like what I'm building right now is the oldest kit in my backlog. I actually got it in like I think January or February of this year, and I just kept getting other things and building them instead. But it's the Master Grade Quanta.
Okay, I think
So
I remember you bringing
I've
that
got
up
its head
actually.
and body built now.
Cool.
I have to say as well, like I always kind of like the design of looking at it, and even like looking at like reviews of it, I kind of like the look of the Quanta. But like actually having it physically in front of me, I really like the way the head on this is designed.
I think with the Quanta, I'd say it's probably the least terrible out of the 00 Master Grades.
Yeah, I think that was part of my reason for getting it. I knew Exio was a disaster.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, its ankles were a disaster.
Exia's ankles are a disaster. The Jinx's absolute everything is a disaster. Like, it is way worse than the Exia.
But it was mainly like the ankles and the hip joints, or not hip joints, the hip armor that were like really annoying on the Exia, I think.
Yep.
But I actually don't even know why I got the Quanta over the 00. Like maybe it was price or something, which makes it hilarious that I took this long to build it, or maybe I just wanted to get this one first and put the 00 later. I really don't know what happened with that. But like actually having it in front of me, like I really love the design of the head, and even the chest is like just really weird seeing like actually in 3D. Like the Quanta just has so many sharp points jutting out of it and stuff.
Right.
I'm looking forward to hearing. I'm looking forward to hearing what you say about the what the finished product is when you get done with that.
Yes. I think after that, I should probably move on to the Reborn's Ifrit that I've had for about the same amount of time. I think I got it like a month or so later.
You got the RE Freed and the MG Freedom 2.0 at the same time I did.
Yes. And the biggest problem I have with the Freedom 2.0 is every time I think about building it, it's like, man, there's worse ones I should build before this.
Yes. Build your MG Camper, then your Freedom 2.0.
Yes.
So just a heads up, guys. We are at approximately the 1 hour and 46-minute mark.
Oh, I was not sure when we started. I had made a guess before because I forgot to write it down. I said start around 9 to 9:10. I was thinking we were getting...
Well, we're actually probably closer to 1 hour and 20 minutes, but the raw call itself has been around 1 hour and 40. Oh. After editing, it's probably going to be like 1 hour 20, but still.
Yeah. We did babble for a while before recording.
Yes, we did. And then after we were done there, I was kind of sitting here, and I was worried that you forgot that we did our builds at the start, and you were going to like loop back into it, and it was going to be like a Groundhog Day thing where we just keep repeating the same podcast.
No. I guess for my viewers, what my next project that I'm going to be working on tomorrow is the heavy weapon system for my high new.
Yes, I was really surprised to see you actually got that.
I was literally just checking Gundam Planet one day and saw that it was available. I'm like, huh?
That is weird.
I didn't even see anything about it being reprinted, but all of a sudden they had one. I was like, snag!
Huh. That is weird. So I take it you're not getting the new Gundam heavy weapon system now.
I probably won't, but I will. I definitely want and need to add a new Verka to my collection.
Right. I was confused by that because I thought you'd already snagged a pre-order for it with Samuel, so I was kind of wondering why you went ahead and got the high new one.
Believe it or not, I sent an email off and never got a response.
Really?
Wasn't that like the second one that's happened with?
No, I think didn't it go fine for you with the heavy arms?
It did.
I'm thinking like there was another one where he emailed and never heard anything. Like maybe it was a waterproof.
No, that was Gundam Planet themselves. They did respond back to me, but they said that their distributor had never gotten any like pre-orders.
Oh, I thought she even went to Samuel and he said nothing.
No, you missed the pre-order window from Samuel by like 4 or 5 days.
Since the waterproof Gundam was announced about 400 years ago.
Yes.
It's so weird.
But I did get one.
Yes. I will probably have the Dynamez review up before this video's up, unless Tyler does some super fast overnight editing. So
Not at all, because I'm looking at it now like I might get up early to go to the workout tomorrow, so I'm already looking at 6 or so hours of sleep if I'm lucky.
Yeah, I don't know. You could edit together, you know, a 2-hour podcast in 6 hours. Who needs sleep anyways?
Yeah, for all the times that I say I'm going to try to go to bed at like 10 or 10:30 and then end up going to bed at 2.
Oh yeah. I just like randomly woke up at like 4 in the morning a couple days ago.
And
which is like the worst time to get up because it's too early to like actually get up and do stuff. But it's like so late that you're not going to get a good amount of sleep if you go back to sleep.
I get pissed off every time that happens because it's always you fall back asleep and you wake up dead and it's like, why did I just not get up?
Yeah, and I woke up at like 10:30 or something afterwards, and it was just like, no, I needed those hours to do stuff.
I mean, like if you wake up at 4, but then you have to wake up at 6 and you go sleep for 2 hours, you somehow wake up feeling like you've never slept a day in your life.
Exactly.
All right, guys.
Well, I guess that's it.
I think that's just going to just about do it. So
yeah, pretty much.
Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, please leave us comments. We will answer them in episode 8. And
wait a minute, Dan.
This is episode 8.
Yes, we'll go back in time and add a little splice in here with those questions being answered.
Episode 9. Episode 9. So we'll answer them in episode 9, and we might even have a guest join us on episode 9. So
we might.
Yep. Just look forward to the next one, guys. So this is Dan the Plastic Man saying I'll see you guys at the next one.
And this is Second Soundwave. I'll see you next time, and hopefully that'll be in a week and not another month.
And Max do with the usual bye-bye.